Okay, let's finish off this Minecraft fishing lesson. What we need to do is get these totals incrementing, right? Keeping track so I don't have to count, ooh, how many fish did I catch? And as well, I'd like to make it a little more specific by saying when I catch a fish, did I catch a regular fish or a salmon or a puffer fish or a clownfish? So we're going to add, make our if statement a little more complex. All right, let's get started. So first of all, if I want to keep track of how many of each thing I've caught, I should make variables for that, right? I'm going to need variables to keep track of this accumulation, this count, just like we did in like the click counter and in a quiz. So I'm going to make these variables, do I want them global? I think so. I'm going to make these global variables, which means I'm going to declare them in the main part of the program, not inside of the function. This randnum is a local variable. It's local just to this function, right? I can't access it outside of the function. It only exists inside of the function catchfish. Do I want these global? Let's do it for now. Maybe we'll change it later. So I'm going to say let numFish be assigned to 0. So I'm going to declare the variable and initialize it in one line. Let numJunk be assigned to 0. So I'm just initializing them to start at 0 because nothing's happened yet. And numTreasure is assigned 0. So now all I need to do here is add to this, right? Basically, this if statement here is saying, hey, I caught a fish. So I'm just going to go numFish plus plus. And then we have to, so let's just increment fish count. And then I need to also display the fish count. So if we go to our HTML, I had this ID called fish, right, which we initialized as 0. I need to update that HTML. So I'm going to go document.getElementById. Fish, I think it was called, .inner HTML is assigned the variable numFish, which has just been incremented. I now display the new value. So increment fish count, and then we'll display the fish count. All right, then I should be able to copy and paste that to here and just change this to numJunk and increment the junk count. And here again, we'll go junk. It'll be assigned numJunk, and I displayed the junk count. And then copy and paste here for treasure. Treasure. And I should check my IDs just to make sure, but I think that's good. And display the treasure count. Okay, let's just check those IDs. Fish, junk, treasure, yeah. Okay, so now when I click, cool, I got a fish, added 1 to it. Another fish, more fish, more fish. Dun, 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 dun. Whoa, cool, 2 junks. Right, the boots are considered junk. And it keeps tallying up those fish. A couple more things. Oh, 1 treasure. I got a bow in there. Cool. Okay, so that's simply just, like I said, using a variable to keep track of a total, right? Initialize it to 0 and do that plus plus to add 1 to it. And I just thought, you know how I was thinking, oh, should I put this inside the function? If I were to put this stuff inside of the function, it would initialize these variables to 0 every time I call it the function. So that is definitely not what we want. All right, let me just show you. If I were to take this here and do that at the beginning of the function, what's going to happen is every time, so that worked the first time, but now it just shows 1, because every time I click, it resets it to 0 and then adds 1. Right, so the treasure, the highest you'll get is 1 on anything. Anyway, that's not, so undo, 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 undo. We want to initialize it once, and every time I call catch fish, we just add to that total. All right. Now what I wanted to do was I have images here for raw salmon, raw fish, puffer fish, and clownfish. So I'm going to go to my HTML and I'm going to add some stuff here. So instead of fish, I'm going to say raw fish, and let's change this to raw fish. Copy and paste that. Raw salmon, and again we'll change that to raw salmon. Copy and paste. What was the next one here? A pufferfish. We'll change this ID. Pufferfish. Actually, I usually, when I do multiple words, I like to put a hyphen in there for the IDs. All right, and then clownfish. Clownfish. Okay, so now kind of the same idea is I still want there to be an 85% chance that I catch a fish, but then I should say I want to do an if statement inside of this if statement. That's called a nested if statement. You can put one if statement inside of another one. And basically, if I have caught a fish, I now want to get another random number to say, oh, what type of fish did I catch? Right? So to do that, I'm going to create another random variable. I'm going to call this randfish, and it's going to be math.random. And now I'm going to test randfish. And I can't remember the probabilities. Let's just make something up. There's actually all sorts of, you can actually go to Minecraft wikis and find the actual probabilities for these things, but I'm just going to make something up. Let's just say a regular old raw fish is maybe about 50% of the time. So if randfish is less than 0.5, that means I'm going to do a 50% chance of just getting a raw fish. And then I need to do this. Paste that in there. And I'm going to go raw fish image. I need new variables. Okay, so I need a num raw fish. Copy and paste that. Num raw salmon. Let num, I forget what I did next. Let's go pufferfish is assigned 0, and let num clownfish is assigned 0. Right, because I'm going to be more specific now. So I need variables for each value. So here I'm not going to do numfish, I'm going to do num rawfish plus plus and num rawfish. Okay, and display the rawfish count. And oh, and then this too has to be raw hyphen fish was the ID. Yeah, raw dash fish. Okay. And then I'm going to do this else if. So again, remember, we still have that outer structure, the if, else for fish, junk, treasure. But now inside of this fish if statement, I'm going to have my own, another chain selection statement where I'm going to test this randfish variable. Let's just do maybe a 20% chance of getting raw salmon. So less than 0.7. And this will be 20% chance of getting raw salmon. I'm just going to copy and paste this into here. And we'll change this to raw underscore salmon is the file name right here. And then I have to update the raw salmon variable. And then, again, this has to be raw salmon. And raw salmon. And display raw salmon count. Phew! All right, not last one, at least we got two more to go. Else if randfish is less than 0.9, let's say. This will be my another 20% chance, right? From 70% to 90%, 0.7 to 0.9. 20% chance of getting a pufferfish. And again, we just have to update this stuff here. Copy, paste. Image name is pufferfish underscore old. Nice. And then my variable, I think, was called num pufferfish. Great. The ID, if I'm being consistent, was pufferfish. Yep. And then this has to be replaced with num pufferfish. There it is. And update my comment as well. Display pufferfish count. And last but not least, that final else will be my 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, my 10% chance of getting a clownfish. Okay, and we'll copy and paste all of this. I'm just going to shrink my font a little bit. Replace this with clownfish.png. Clownfish, clownfish, and last but not least, there we go. Okay, so again, here's my big if statement, if, else if, and inside of this if statement, I'm going to have another if statement to check what type of fish did I catch. Wow. Okay, that was a bunch of code. There could have been some mistakes here. Let's see if I did something wrong. Okay, whoa, cool, the pufferfish right away. And then I got junk, and then a treasure, and then junk, and then a fish. And then, what was that one? That's my clownfish? Clownfish. Another fish, some regular fish, clownfish. Can't remember what those are. That looks like raw salmon. And then a bow. Cool, so a little more diversity here. Oh, I need to make my page wider because I have more stuff here. Or my font size smaller, or whatever. Alright, so here we go. Like I said, I'm getting all these different things. The percentages, right? You can still see that my fish totals should be about 85% of the time, 10% junk, and 5% chance of treasure. Alright, and hopefully those numbers are kind of close to what they should be. Alright, key concepts we learned again in this Minecraft thing is math.random. Gets me a random decimal between 0 and 1. I can then test that random number using if statements, right? So 85%, 0.85, 0.95, and then the last 5%. And the idea of nested if statements, right? Within an if statement, I can also do another if statement. And inside of this if statement, I could do other if statements. You can nest as far as you'd like, although it gets complicated. Okay. And then of course this plus equals was interesting, right? So that doesn't just overwrite the inner HTML, it adds onto it, it appends to it. There's other ways to do this too, but for now this is a pretty simple way for what we need to do. And of course the use of variables to keep track of totals, right? Initializing them to 0 and then adding on. Okay, hopefully that made a lot of sense and you're learning. I'd like you guys to make your own simulator, but something different. Different topic. Also do kind of randomness with probabilities, have nested if statements, stuff like that would be great. We're also not done with this lesson. Later on when we talk about loops, we're going to do it so that instead of having to just catch one fish at a time, I want to add like a button that'll say, you know, catch 100 fish. And it'll loop and catch 100 fish just like that really fast. Okay, anyway, that will be a future lesson. For now, Minecraft Fishing Simulator, done. We could do like a reset button, that might be cool, but you can also just hit refresh on your page to reset it as well. Alright, I'm out. Hope that made sense. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.